In a far corner of the galaxy, on a strange and wild planet called Zoroth, a young human boy named Ethan lived. Ethan was only 13 years old, but he was very curious and brave. His family was part of a small group of human explorers who had come to Zoroth many years ago. The planet was full of tall trees, strange animals, and unknown dangers. It was not an easy place to live. One day, Ethan decided to explore deeper into the forest than he ever had before. He wanted to find something new, something exciting. The sun was bright, and the birds sang strange songs. Ethan walked carefully, his eyes wide with wonder. Suddenly, he heard a soft sound. It was like a quiet cry, but not like any animal he had heard before. He stopped and listened. The sound came from behind a large rock, covered in green moss. Ethan slowly moved closer. As he looked behind the rock, he saw a small figure huddled on the ground. It was a girl, but not like any girl he had ever seen. Her skin was pale blue, and her eyes were large and bright purple. Her hair shimmered like silver threads. She looked frightened and weak. Ethan felt a sudden rush of kindness. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. The girl looked up quickly. Her eyes were full of fear, but also something else, hope. She did not speak English, but somehow Ethan understood her. It was like her thoughts spoke directly to his mind. She whispered, "Help me. ... But not now. When you are strong. When you are older, you must come back. You must save me." Ethan was confused. "Who are you? Why do you need help? Why should I come back when I am older?" he asked. The girl's eyes grew wider, and she pointed to her chest, then to the sky, and finally to Ethan's heart. Ethan felt a strange warmth inside him. It was like a promise, but he did not fully understand it yet. Suddenly the girl looked around nervously. She stood up quickly and took Ethan's hand. "Danger is near," she said. "They come for me. You must go now." Ethan did not want to leave her, but he knew she was right. They both heard heavy footsteps and strange sounds coming through the forest. Something was coming fast. The girl pulled Ethan gently but firmly. "Remember your promise," she said before disappearing into the thick trees like a ghost. Ethan stood there, stunned. He looked where she had vanished, but saw nothing but leaves and shadows. The strange feeling in his chest grew stronger. He knew this meeting was important. When Ethan returned to the small human camp, he tried to tell the others about the girl. But no one believed him. They said he must have imagined it. Aliens like that did not exist, they said, but Ethan knew better. He could still feel the promise she made. He spent many nights looking at the stars, thinking about her words. Years passed. Ethan grew taller and stronger. He trained himself every day. He learned about different planets, alien languages, and how to fight. But no matter how much he learned, the memory of the blue-skinned girl stayed clear in his mind. He knew one day he must keep his promise. He must return to Zoroth. He must save her. One evening, when Ethan was 17, he found an old, broken device in the forest, near the place where he met the alien girl. It looked like a small box, with strange glowing symbols. Ethan's heart raced. He held the device. Tightly, it felt warm, almost alive. He remembered the girl's words and felt a strong pull to find her again. That night, Ethan dreamed of her. She was trapped alone, waiting for him. The time had come. Ethan stood before the old spaceship, his hands trembling, but his eyes full of determination. He was no longer a boy. He was ready for the challenge ahead. He whispered, "I will come back for you. I promise." Years passed quickly for Ethan, but the memory of the mysterious alien girl stayed fresh in his mind every day, even though he was just a boy when he met her. The promise he made in that quiet forest on Zoroth weighed heavily on his heart. Ethan's world changed as he grew older. A small human colony on Zoroth was no longer a simple camp. It had grown into a busy settlement with advanced technology, spaceships, and scientists trying to understand the strange planet around them. But Ethan never lost sight of the promise. He trained harder than anyone else, pushing his body and mind to the limit. Every morning before the sun rose, Ethan ran through the forest trails. He lifted heavy rocks and practiced with makeshift weapons. He learned how to move silently like the shadows. He spent hours in the simulation rooms studying alien languages and cultures. The scientists taught him how to repair ships, use advanced technology, and survive in dangerous environments. Yet, even with all this training, Ethan felt something was missing. The promise he had made was not just about strength or skill. It was about a mission far greater than himself. At school, his friends laughed when he talked about aliens and promises. They told him to focus on their world, on what was real. But Ethan only smiled quietly. He knew the truth was waiting for him somewhere out there. One day, when Ethan was 16, he found a dusty old book in the settlement's library. It was about the history of Zoroth and the ancient civilizations that once lived there. As he flipped through the pages, a strange symbol caught his eye. It was the same glowing sign he had seen on the small device he found near the forest. His heart beat fast. Could this be a clue? Could it lead him back to the alien girl? Ethan took the book to his teacher, a wise scientist named Dr. Hale. "This symbol," Ethan said, pointing. "I found it near where I met the alien girl. Do you know what it means?" Dr. Hale looked carefully and nodded slowly. "This is the mark of the ancients, a group believed to be the first intelligent beings on this planet. Legends say they had powers beyond anything we can imagine." Ethan's mind raced. If the alien girl was connected to these ancients, maybe she had a reason for needing his help. Maybe the danger she warned him about was tied to these ancient powers. That night, Ethan studied the symbol and the stories about the ancients. He felt a strange connection, as if the answers were within his reach. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan's curiosity grew stronger. He shared his findings with his closest friend, Lila, a skilled pilot with sharp instincts. "Ethan, you're obsessed," Lila said with a smirk. "If there's a secret here, I want to help you find it." Together, they planned small expeditions to explore deeper into the wildlands. They mapped out old ruins, scanned for hidden technology, and searched for anything that could explain the alien girl's situation. One afternoon, while exploring an abandoned temple carved into the side of a mountain, Ethan and Leela found a hidden chamber. Inside, glowing blue crystals lit up the dark space. Strange markings covered the wall, stories of war, survival, and sacrifice. Ethan touched the wall gently, and suddenly the symbols glowed brighter. A holographic message appeared in front of them, a message from the ancients themselves. The voice was soft but powerful. "To the one who carries the promise, your time is near. The fate of our world and many others depends on the courage of a young hero. Seek the lost one, protect her, and unlock the future." Ethan's heart pounded. This was it, the sign he had waited for. But there was a warning too. Beware the shadow that hunts. Darkness grows where light fades. Lila looked at Ethan with wide eyes. "This is bigger than we thought." The next months were filled with preparation. Ethan trained even harder, learning to fight with new weapons and mastering alien technology he barely understood. He and Lila fixed up an old spaceship, making it ready for a long journey beyond their world. Despite the excitement, Ethan often felt alone. His family and friends did not understand the weight on his shoulders. Sometimes he questioned if he was ready for the challenge ahead. One evening, as he sat under the stars, Ethan whispered to the sky, "I promised I'd come back for you. I won't fail." Suddenly, a soft voice echoed in his mind, the voice of the alien girl from years ago. "Be ready," she said. "The time will come when your strength is needed. I am waiting." Ethan shivered, knowing his journey was no longer just a dream. It was real. It was coming soon. Then came the news that changed everything. The settlement's scanners detected strange movements on the far side of the planet, large groups of unknown creatures gathering. Scientists warned that an ancient enemy of the ancients, long thought extinct, was returning. Ethan knew this was the danger the alien girl had warned about. He stood before the council of leaders and spoke with steady courage. "I will go to Zoroth's heart, find her, and stop this threat." The leaders hesitated, knew the dangers, but they also knew Ethan's promise and his determination. Finally, they agreed. "It will support you, Ethan, but this journey will test you like never before." As Ethan prepared to leave, Lila came to him, her eyes full of trust. "You won't be alone. I'm coming with you." Together, they climbed into the spaceship, their hearts heavy but hopeful. The engines roared to life, and the ship lifted. Off, cutting through the thick atmosphere. Outside, the wild planet of Zorith stretched beneath them, full of secret dangers, the promise of a future only Ethan could change. Ethan looked out the window, thinking of the small alien girl. With the pale blue skin and glowing purple eyes, he whispered, "I'm coming back for you, I promise." The hum of the spaceship's engines filled the small cabin as Ethan stared out the window. The endless stars stretched before him like a vast ocean of light. Behind him, Zorith, a wild, dangerous planet he had called home, grew, smaller and smaller, but his mission was only beginning. Beside him, Leela adjusted the ship's controls with steady hands. Her eyes were sharp and alert, ready for whatever dangers lay ahead. "Are you ready?" she asked quietly. Ethan nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "I have to be." For years he had prepared for this moment. Now finally, it was leaving everything familiar to find the alien girl, the one who had made him. Promised to come back and save her. The journey would not be easy. Their destination was a remote part of Zoroth's neighboring star system, a place little explored and even less understood. Ethan's data showed a faint signal coming from an old abandoned space station orbiting a moon called Viralis. Signal matched the alien girl's strange energy, the same warmth Ethan had felt the day they met. Lila plotted the course. "It's a 6-day trip through uncharted space. We'll face asteroid fields, solar storms, and possibly hostile ships." Ethan tightened his grip on the armrest. "Nothing I can't handle." The ship's small crew cabin was cramped, but it was all they needed. Ethan carried a small bag packed with supplies, tools, a weapon he had specially modified, and the glowing device he had found years ago near the alien girl's hiding place. He didn't know what secrets it held, but he hoped it would help. As they flew deeper into space, Ethan's mind drifted back to that first meeting. The alien girl, trembling and afraid, had given him hope and a promise. Her words echoed in his heart. "Help me, but not now. When you are strong, you are older, you must come back." Why had she said that? What danger was she running from? What was waiting for him on Viralis? Ethan knew the answers would change everything. The first 2 days passed with little excitement, only the steady beep of instruments and the gentle vibrations of the ship. Leela and Ethan talked quietly about their plans and fears. On the third day, alarms blared suddenly, jolting them both from their thoughts. "Asteroid field ahead," Lila shouted, her fingers flying over the controls. Through the main viewport, rocks of all sizes tumbled through space like a deadly storm. "Hold on," Ethan shouted, gripping his seat. The ship shook violently as they maneuvered through the maze of rocks. Ethan's heart pounded. Each moment brought a new threat, a spinning boulder, jagged rock sharp as a knife, a cloud of smaller debris that could shred their ship. Lila's voice stayed calm but focused. "Steady, steady, ... Now left, up, down." After what felt like hours, but was only minutes, they cleared the asteroid field. The silence that followed was heavy. "That was close," Ethan said, wiping sweat from his brow. Lila smiled tiredly. "Welcome to deep space." The next day, something strange happened. The glowing device Ethan carried began to pulse softly, sending out waves of light. "What is that?" Lila asked, leaning close to examine it. Ethan touched it gently. "I don't know." "Trying to tell us something." Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up a signal nearby, an old distress beacon buried beneath layers of cosmic dust. Lila's eyes widened. This could be at the place where she's trapped. Ethan's heart raced. Set a course. The ship changed direction, heading toward the source of the signal. On the 5th day, the ship approached a large moon, dark and covered with craters, orbiting. The moon was a massive structure, an ancient space station, half destroyed and floating silently in the void. This must be Veralis Station, Lila said, awe in her voice. Ethan stared in wonder. The station was old, but still powerful, its surface covered in alien writing and strange symbols. The glowing device in Ethan's hand pulsed faster, as if excited. "We're close," Ethan whispered. They docked the ship carefully at a broken airlock. The silence inside the station was thick, almost alive. Ethan and Lila put on their suits and stepped into the cold corridors, their flashlights cutting through the dark. Every step echoed, and shadows danced on the walls. Suddenly, a soft sound reached Ethan's ears, a faint, melodic humming. He stopped. "Do you hear that?" Lila nodded. "It's coming from down that hallway." They moved carefully, following the sound. The humming grew louder, gentle but full of sadness. Then they saw her, the alien girl. She was lying on a raised platform in a small chamber, surrounded by glowing crystals and wires attached to her body. Her skin was pale blue, as Ethan remembered, and her bright purple eyes fluttered weakly. She looked fragile, but her presence was powerful. Ethan's breath caught. "She's alive," said, tears in his eyes. The girl's eyes slowly opened, and she smiled weakly. "You came," she whispered, but their reunion was not peaceful for long. Suddenly, the station's emergency alarms blared. Red lights flashed as an automated voice warned of a security breach. From the shadows, figures appeared, dark armored soldiers, unknown to Ethan and Lila. "They found us," Lila said, drawing her weapon. Ethan stood protectively in front of the alien girl. "Get ready," he said. "We have to protect her." The battle began. Ethan fought with every skill he had learned. The enemy soldiers were strong and well-trained, but Ethan's determination was fiercer. Lila covered him, her shots precise and deadly. Despite the chaos, Ethan focused on the girl. He had to get her to safety. After what felt like an endless fight, the attackers retreated. Ethan helped the girl sit up. "Who were they?" he asked. She looked tired but serious. "They're the Shadow Hunters. They want to control the power I carry. Now, if they get it, they will destroy many worlds." Ethan clenched his fists. "We won't let that happen." The alien girl reached out, touching Ethan's hand. "You kept your promise," she said softly. "Now our real journey begins." Back on the ship, as they prepared to leave, Ethan realized something important. This was not just a rescue. It was the start of a battle between light and darkness. A fight that would test every ounce of courage he had, and he was ready. Looking at the stars once more, Ethan whispered, "I'm coming back for you. Always." The spaceship hummed softly as it moved away from the ancient station orbiting Veralis. Ethan sat beside the alien girl. His name he finally learned was Nira. Her pale blue skin still shimmered faintly under the dim cabin lights, and her large purple eyes searched the stars beyond the window. Ethan felt a deep connection to her, like a thread tying their fates together. He remembered the promise he made years ago in the forests of Zorth to come back and save her. Now, that promise was becoming real. Lila was busy at the controls, her eyes scanning the star charts and ship instruments. The atmosphere inside the small ship was tense. They had escaped the first danger, but Ethan knew it was only the beginning. Nira spoke softly, her voice a whisper but filled with strength. "The Shadow Hunters are relentless. They will not stop until they have my power." Ethan looked at her carefully. "What power? Why do they want you?" Nira hesitated. "I carry the essence of the ancients. It is a force older than your stars. It can heal or destroy. In the wrong hands, it is a weapon of great terror." Ethan felt the weight of her words. "Then we have to protect you, no matter what." She smiled faintly. "That is why I trusted you. When we met, I felt you had the heart of a warrior." As the ship drifted through space, a sudden alarm shattered the quiet. "Contact, incoming vessel," Lila shouted. Ethan jumped up and peered through the main window. A sleek black ship approached fast, its shape unlike any human design. "They're here," Nira said grimly. The enemy ship was one of the Shadow Hunters' warships. It blocked their path, engines glowing red, weapons charging. Lila's fingers flew over the controls. They want to board us. Ethan stood ready, gripping the handle of his modified pulse rifle. We won't let them. The ship shook as lasers hit its shields. Red warning lights flashed around them. Evasive maneuvers, Lila commanded. The small ship darted through asteroid debris and narrow canyons of space rock, but the shadow hunters were relentless. They fired missile after missile, lighting up the dark with deadly explosions. Inside the ship, tension rose. Nira's breathing was shallow. Ethan could see the fear in her eyes, but also determination. We can't outrun them forever, Ethan said. We have to fight back. Lila nodded. Agreed. I'm powering up the ship's defense systems. The ship's hull hummed with energy as hidden turrets extended, ready to fire. The Shadow Hunter warship closed in. Suddenly, the enemy launched a boarding pod, hurtled toward Ethan's ship like a fiery comet. We have intruders, Allah yelled. The pod crashed through the hull, and enemy soldiers poured in. Ethan and Leela took their positions. The small cabin turned into a battlefield. Ethan fired carefully, disabling enemies with precise shots. Lila covered his back, her aim deadly. Nira stood behind them, weak but trying to help. She whispered strange words, and a soft blue light shimmered around her hands. With a flash, one enemy soldier froze, unable to move. That power, Ethan thought. It's real. The fight was fierce. The Shadow Hunters were trained warriors, but Ethan's courage was stronger, step by step. They pushed the invaders back toward the broken airlock. As the last enemy was thrown out into space, Ethan collapsed. To his knees, breathing hard, Lila smiled tiredly. We did it. For now, Nira looked at Ethan with grateful eyes. Your promise has saved me again. But the battle left scars. The ship's shields were weak, and their path was blocked by more enemy ships. We need a safe place to land, Ethan said. Lila studied the map. There's a small moon nearby Vetra. It's uninhabited, but there might be shelter in the old ruins. Ethan nodded. Let's go. The ship descended through Vetra's thin atmosphere. The surface was rocky and barren, with crumbling towers and walls of an ancient city. They landed carefully near a collapsed building. As they stepped out, cold wind bit their skin. Ethan looked around. This place feels haunted. Nira shivered. The ancients once lived here, but something dark fell on this moon long ago. Lila set up a temporary camp. We'll repair the ship here and rest. That night, under the pale light of twin moons, Ethan sat with Nira by the campfire. Why? Did the ancients fall? Ethan asked. Nira's eyes darkened. Because of the Shadow Hunters. They betrayed us, stole our secrets, and destroyed many worlds to gain power. Ethan clenched his fists. Then we must stop them. Nira reached out, touching his hand. You are more than a warrior, Ethan. You are the key to ending this. Ethan looked into her eyes. For the first time he understood. His journey was not just about saving one life, it was about saving many. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A low growl echoed from the ruins. Leela grabbed her weapon. Coming. From the shadows emerged a huge creature, part machine, part beast with glowing red eyes and sharp claws. The ancient guardian of Vetra had awakened. Ethan stood tall. We fight. Together. The battle was brutal. The guardian was strong and fast. It smashed rocks and sent sparks flying. Ethan dodged and fired.
Lila supported him.
Nira whispered words of power, sending waves of light to weaken the beast. After a fierce struggle, the guardian fell, defeated but not destroyed. Breathing heavily, Ethan looked around. We survived. Leela smiled. But the danger never ends. As dawn broke, the three knew their journey was far from over. Ethan whispered to himself, I promise to save her. I will keep fighting, no matter what. And so under the twin suns of Vetra, their adventure continued, a battle between light and shadow, hope and fear, and the promise of a better future. The morning light filtered through the cracked walls of the ancient ruin on Vetra, casting long shadows across the cold stone floor. Ethan sat with Nira and Leela around a small, flickering fire. The battle with the guardian beast still echoed. In their minds, a sharp reminder that danger was never far behind. Ethan stared at the glowing device in his hands. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat, as if alive. Nira had told him it was connected to Hertha, source of her power, and the key to defeating the Shadow Hunters. "We can't keep running," Ethan said firmly. "They will follow us wherever we go." Lila nodded. "We need a plan, something strong enough to end this." Nira's eyes shone with quiet determination. "There's a place," she said. "A hidden sanctuary deep inside the planet Zorath. It holds the last hope for my people and the power I carry. But it is guarded by ancient forces, tests no one has ever passed." Ethan's heart skipped. "We have to get there. We have to protect Yuan, stop the Shadow Hunters once and for all." The three spent the next few hours studying star maps and ancient texts Nira had recovered from the space station. The sanctuary was located in a lost city beneath the surface of Zorath. Hidden under dense forests and protected by powerful technology, the journey will be dangerous, Nira warned. But it is the only place where I can unlock the full power of the essence. Ethan looked at Lila. "We have to try. Can't let the Shadow Hunters win." Lila smiled grimly. "Then let's make a plan." First, they needed allies. Ethan remembered the small tribe of peaceful aliens living in the forests near the human settlement. They had helped him once before, offering shelter and knowledge. "We should ask the forest tribe for help," Ethan suggested. "They know the land better than anyone." Nira nodded. "They are our oldest friends, but they fear the Shadow Hunters. We must convince them to fight." The decision made, the group prepared to leave Vetra. The ship was still damaged, but enough to take them to Zeroth's surface. As the ship descended through the thick jungle canopy, Ethan's heart pounded. The forests were alive with sound-stripping creatures, rustling leaves, and the distant roar of beasts. They landed near the edge of the tribe's village. The tall trees loomed overhead, and the air was thick with the scent of earth and rain. From the shadows emerged figures tall, slender beings with emerald skin and eyes like liquid gold. They watched cautiously. Their leader stepped forward, a wise elder named Kale. "You bring danger here," Kale said quietly. "The Shadow Hunters hunt us all." Ethan stepped forward. "We need your help. Nira carries the power to save us, but she can't do it alone." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Why should we trust humans? Their kind brought machines and war." Ethan lowered his gaze respectfully. "I don't ask for trust lightly, but I promise I am here to protect life, not destroy it," Nira added softly. "The ancients are our past. If we stand divided, the Shadow Hunters will destroy everything. Together, we can fight." After tense moments, Kale spoke. "We will help you, but only if you prove your courage." Ethan nodded. "Anything." That night, under the glowing moons, Ethan, Nira, and Lila faced the tribes, test a challenge to prove their strength, wisdom, and heart. They faced trials in the forest, overcoming fear, solving ancient puzzles, and battling shadows conjured by the tribe shamans. Ethan's bravery and determination shone. Nira's power grew stronger with every challenge. Lila's quick thinking saved them multiple times. By dawn, the tribe accepted them. Kale smiled. "You are worthy. We will stand with you." With new allies, Ethan felt hope. Together, they planned the journey to the hidden sanctuary. It would take days through dangerous terrain, past ancient traps and hostile creatures loyal to the Shadow Hunters. Nira shared what she knew. The sanctuary holds the core device that amplifies the essence. If I can reach it, I can unlock the power to stop the Shadow Hunters. Ethan touched the glowing device again. "We'll get you there." The group set out, moving through thick jungles and misty mountains. They traveled quietly, alert for any sign of enemy patrols. One evening, they camped near a waterfall. As they rested, Nira confided in Ethan. "When we first met, I was weak and scared. I didn't believe anyone could save me." Ethan smiled gently. "You were stronger than you knew. And now, We're fighting together." She looked at him, hope shining in her eyes. But danger was never far, in the dark forest. Unseen eyes watched. The shadow hunters had tracked them, a scout reported. "The humans and their alien are moving toward the sanctuary. We must stop them." Before they reached the core, the commander's voice was cold. "Prepare the traps. Let them fall into our web." The next days tested the group's strength. Ancient traps, sprung walls, closing in, pits of spikes, and illusions that played tricks on their minds. Ethan's courage never wavered. Lila's sharp instincts guided them safely. The tribe's knowledge helped disarm the dangers. Nira's power grew, and the glowing device pulsed brighter. Finally, they reached the entrance to the sanctuary, a massive stone door carved with the symbol of the ancient depth. Ethan stepped forward and placed the glowing device in the center of the door. The stone rumbled and slowly opened, revealing a chamber filled with light and energy. Inside was the corpusing with power. Nea approached it carefully. "This is it," she whispered. But as she reached out, a shadow fell over them. The shadow hunters had followed. The final battle was about to begin. Ethan looked at his friends. "We fight for her. We fight for all of us." Lila nodded. No turning back. The tribe raised their weapons. Ready. Nera took a deep breath and touched the core. Light exploded around them. The rescue plan was set in motion. The sanctuary's chamber glowed with a soft blue light, pulsing rhythmically as if alive. Ethan, Nira, Lila, and their tribal allies stood shoulder to shoulder, their faces set with determination. They had come so far, through dangers seen and unseen, and now the moment to fight for everything was here. The core hummed with immense power, its energy filling the room. Nira stepped closer, placing her hands gently on the ancient device. She closed her eyes, and a brilliant light radiated from her fingertips. Weaving around the core like living fire, Ethan watched her, feeling a mix of awe and hope. He had never seen such power, and he knew the weight of the responsibility resting on her shoulders. Suddenly, the sanctuary's doors slammed open with a deafening crash. The shadow hunters poured in, their dark armor gleaming under the sanctuary's light. Their weapons were cold, cruel, and deadly. At their head was the commander, a towering figure, with a scarred face and eyes like burning coals. "So, the humans and their alien friend have reached us," the commander sneered. "Fools, you will not leave this place alive." Ethan raised his pulse rifle. "We fight for freedom. You will not win." Leela loaded her blaster and stood ready. Tribe's warriors raised their energy spears, forming a protective circle around Nira. The commander's soldiers charged forward. The chamber erupted into chaos. Ethan moved with practiced skill, dodging blasts and striking down enemies with precise shots. Lila covered him, her eyes sharp as she took down attackers before they could get close. Nira, despite her weak appearance, unleashed bursts of pure energy. Blue waves radiated from her hands, sending shadow hunters flying across the chamber. The core responded to her power, glowing brighter with every pulse. But the shadow hunters fought fiercely. They had trained for this moment and would not retreat. The commander leapt toward Ethan, his weapon crackling with dark energy. "You are brave, human," he growled. "But bravery alone will not save you." Ethan met his charge. The two clashed, weapons sparking and ringing in the chamber. Meanwhile, Nira struggled to maintain her connection to the core. The energy ... "It's too much," she whispered, sweat beading on her forehead. "I can't hold it much longer." Ethan glanced over. "You must. We're counting on you." Lila fought off enemies closing in on Nira's position. Suddenly, the commander's lieutenant slipped past the guards and aimed a powerful energy blade at Nira's back. Ethan shouted, "Watch out!" He tackled the attacker just in time, knocking the blade aside. The battle raged on. Ethan and the commander fought fiercely, each blow echoing through the chamber. Ethan's pulse rifle was nearly empty, and his muscles screamed with exhaustion. But he refused to give up. "I fight for her, for all of us," Ethan yelled, delivering a powerful strike that sent the commander crashing to the ground. Nira's energy grew unstable. She cried out as the core's light flared wildly. Suddenly, the core released a wave of energy that knocked everyone back. For a moment, the chamber was silent. Then the core dimmed, its power sealed once again. Nira collapsed to the floor. Weak but alive, the commander, battered and beaten, looked at Ethan with hatred. "This isn't over," he spat, before retreating with his remaining soldiers. The chamber doors slammed shut behind them. Ethan rushed to Nira's side. Her head. "You did it," he whispered. Nira smiled weakly. "Together, ... we are stronger." "Lila, check the ship's comms. We have a clear path. Time to leave." As they left the sanctuary, Ethan looked back at the glowing core. Knowing the battle had changed everything, they had won this fight. But the war for peace and freedom was only beginning. Ethan held Nira's hand, promising silently, "I will protect you. Always." The stars above shimmered like scattered jewels as Ethan's ship soared away from the sanctuary on Zoroth, its engines humming with a steady rhythm. Inside the cabin, a quiet calm had settled over the small group. Ethan, Nira, and Lelo H, lost in their own thoughts. For years, Ethan had carried a promise made as a boy in the shadowed forests of Zoroth. That promise had guided him through dangers, battles, and moments of doubt. Now, at last, it was fulfilled. Nira, still pale but stronger, reached out and took Ethan's hand in hers. "You came back," she whispered, her purple eyes glistening. "With gratitude, you kept your word." Ethan smiled softly, feeling the weight of the journey lift. "I promised I would, no matter what." Lila, sitting nearby, gave a tired but genuine smile. "We all did. Together." The trip back to the human settlement was filled with quiet hope. Repairs to the ship were underway, and with the sanctuary's core secured, Nira's power was growing steadily. The threat of the shadow hunters had not vanished, but their forces were weakened as they approached the familiar skies of Zoroth. Ethan thought about everything that had happened, from the frightened alien girl hiding in the forest to the fierce warrior standing before him now. He remembered the moment they first met, when Nira had said, "You must come back when you are older." At the time, he had not understood. Now he did. The promise was more than words. It was a bond, a connection between two worlds. When the ship landed, the settlement buzzed with activity. Scientists, soldiers, and settlers gathered to welcome back their heroes. Ethan and Nira stepped out together, hand in hand. The crowd fell silent, watching the alien girl, whose story had been told in whispers and hopes. Kale, the leader of the forest tribe, approached with a proud smile. "You have done what many thought impossible." Nira nodded. "But our fight is not over. The shadow hunters will return. We must be ready." Ethan stepped forward. "Then we will stand together, humans and aliens alike." In the following weeks, Nira's strength grew. With the core's power, she healed the sick and protected the settlement from new threats. Her presence inspired hope and unity among the different peoples of Zoroth. Ethan continued to train, preparing for whatever challenges might come next. But now, there was something different. A sense of peace, born from a promise kept and a mission fulfilled. One evening, under a sky painted with stars, Ethan and Nira sat by a quiet river. "You saved me," Nira said softly. "No," Ethan replied. "You saved me too. You showed me courage I didn't know I had." Their eyes met, and in that moment, words were not needed. The promise had become something deeper, a friendship, bond that crossed galaxies. But fate had one last surprise. As they returned to the settlement's main hall, a messenger arrived breathless. "Sir, strange readings from the far side of the planet. An unknown force is gathering." Ethan frowned. "The shadow hunters." The messenger nodded grimly. Nira stood tall. "Then our work continues." "Together," Ethan smiled. "Together." The promise was fulfilled, but their story was just beginning. As the twin moons of Zoroth rose high, Ethan whispered once more to the night, "I'll always come back."